Hi, my name's Nick, and welcome back to the Painter's Mess. We're going to continue on the Thematic List Building series with the 10th Legion, the Iron Hands. Let's go make a mess. So, again, disclaimer notes, Heresy is a historical war game, and the following lists are not intended to be representations of any meta lists that are currently available. I don't play in competitive games. I like making fun narrative lists, and that's what these are. So I hope these can bring you some joy and entertainment, as well as some really good stories and games. So, again, the agenda really hasn't changed, except the thematic lists that we are going to be using, are going over, which are the Gravity Well, the Flesh is Weak, and the Hammer of Ferris. So, Iron Hands, the 10th Legion, their Legion trait is the Gorgon Scales, which is an amazing Legion trait, by the way. I have to play against Iron Hands quite often. Basically, if you shoot at them, they have a -1 to their wound tests. So it's range strength of attacks are made at a -1. So it basically makes them significantly harder to kill. A lot, especially with all the feel no pains that they have. It's pretty rough. And then their advanced reaction, Spite of the Gorgon. Too long didn't read. When they charge, the Iron Hands player gets to make a full shooting attack with +1 firepower and overload 1. So basically, they just to unload, and if they kill themselves in the meantime, then they do, and that's pretty cool. So let's go with their prime advantage. This one's actually pretty interesting because it doesn't happen often, and I don't see many people take it, and I haven't gone against it quite often. So, but I'm assuming it's probably really good during Zone Mortalis, because it is the Ironclad, where you can make a war engine, any dreadnought. I believe it's any dreadnought. Take the champion subtype, so they can just go fight in challenges. So you have them run up the board, go fight a character. Now their weapon skill isn't as great as say a Praetor or a Legion champion, or anything with Paragon of Battle, but they're a lot harder to kill, so pretty interesting there. See their Gambit. I didn't actually replace that Gambit. That is an old Gambit, so let's strike that, because that is incorrect. So yeah, I forgot that the Gambit was a thing. You know what? I have the book. Let's just open it up real quick. It's probably easier for me to do that. Where is 9th and the 10th Legion? Gambit. Legion of 1, so they gain more benefits from outside support when the Gambit is selected. So they get +2 to their outside support if they would normally gain it. So that's actually pretty cool. It just makes their focus a little better. So strike that. Maybe I'll fix that before I submit this into the Google Drive. So their armory, the Armatus Necrotechnica. Wow, that's a mouthful. It's actually pretty sweet. The vehicle gains auto repair 5, and then you can add 1 to that repair roll if any models within 6 inches die in the same turn that the repair roll is made. So basically, it's taking parts from the people that have died around it to like repair itself. It's pretty nuts, but you can give it to pretty much any vehicle. And then you have your standard armory. So you have a Artificer Power Axe, which is a Breaching and Shred 5 Power Axe, which is pretty sweet. Graviton Pistol, Graviton Gun, and Graviton Shredder, all grav guns, and that is actually one of the themes of this army. And then the Gorgon Terminator armor, which is basically a feel no pain Tartaros armor, I believe. Even still, it's pretty good. Your special units and characters, you have Ferris Manus, which is your Primarch. Shadrach Medusan, which I believe also plays in the Shattered Legions group. I think he's the character you can play there. You have an Iron Father, which I like to call the Hard Daddy, and Terminator and Artificer armor, so your standard non-Terminator or a Terminator. And basically those guys are Forge Lords, so they also have the Battlesmith rule and like the servo arm, so they're pretty good, especially when it comes to like repairing vehicles, which is kind of the theme of this army. You have the Gorgon Terminators, which are in the Gorgon Terminator armor. Medusan Immortals, which is basically a Breacher Squad with Expendable, also very good. You just have to remember the Expendable rule is all models in that unit have to have Expendable, so you can't put a character with them. And then your Morlock Terminator Retinue is your Terminator, Cataphractic Terminators as a retinue. So Legion notes, the flesh is weak is kind of the going theme. So if they have to be strong by augmenting themselves with mechanical limbs and have robots do their dirty work. It's great. Ironically, they are more robot augmented than the Iron Warriors, which in the future support and assist Fast Store with robot demons. So very interesting that they are more robotic than the supposedly robot Legion. And they're harder to kill, especially in the shooting with all the field of paints. So if you like black, painting different shades of black and robots, and all of the robots that are available, basically the Mechanicum range, this Legion's for you. So I believe this dude just got released on for Warhammer the Space Marine 2. Like, you can run this dude now. He looks pretty cool. But this is basically your robotic augmentation list. Your flesh is weak, and it really does utilize the robots. So we're going to start with the your Crusade detachment. Again, this is starting with Iron Hands as your primary detachment. You have your Iron Father and Gorgon Terminator armor, a Centurion with Paragon of Battle, and a Forge Lord. You're pretty much always going to take a Forge Lord. One, it gives you one prime, or not one prime benefit, one command slot, detachment slot, but also he can just repair stuff. You're going to have 2 tactical troops, and then 1 Immortal Squad. And the Immortal Squad is pretty good because they can fit in Rhinos, which is great because they're just breachers. You're going to have 2 Rhinos, and let's see, so your Iron Father and your Forge Lord unlock 2 different options for robots in your Crusade detachment. One is the Lord of Automata. Jesus. Automata. I believe is unlocked from the Iron Father, and you can take 2 Castellix. And then the Legion Thalax, Legionis and Thalaxes are going to be from your Forge Lord, which is your Thalax cohort. So you're going to take 7 of those. And they're actually pretty good. I think they have little jump packs, and then they have little photon blasters that they just go around and shoot stuff with. They're pretty solid. But it's a good way to branch out into the Mechanicum range. Your Armored Support Detachment is going to have 2 Vindicator Siege Tanks. And then your Shock Assault is going to have a Gorgon Terminator Squad. Gorgon. Yeah. Interesting way to say all the words. And then a Land Raider Carrier and an Armor Fist. And then you're going to take an Allied detachment. And I think this is one of the first times we've talked about Allied detachments, or maybe we did with the Emperor's Children. But we're going to start branching out into Allied detachments as we kind of go through certain legions. So you can't take a high command in your Allied detachment, but you can do the command squad. And this is basically the Skitarii battle box plus a little bit more. So if you pick up that battle box, you would have pretty much everything you would need. Maybe you need another Voltrax and then the tank, but everything else is there. So you're going to take a Battle Pilgrim Marshal, and then he's going to have a logistical benefit of an armor. And then you're going to have 2 squads, 8-man of the Battle Pilgrim Skitarii. And then one of them is going to be super heavily in the I'm going to go run up and blow stuff up, or haywire tanks and vehicles, and the other one's going to be more I'm going to shoot and kill infantry. Then you're going to do your Carachnos assault tank, and then 2 Voltaraxes with a first strike detachment. The logistical benefit for the tank. So we're going to do so here are the notes. We have the Hard Daddy and the Gorgon Terminators go into the Land Raider Carrier and go slay the Warlord hunting and Vanguard hunting, because Gorgon Terminators have Vanguard. Your Medusan Immortals are in a Rhino, and they take your center objective or whatever is the farthest away, because they're expendable. You just hold it until your Centurion, joining a tactical squad in a Rhino, goes to take wherever that objective is, so they come in on the flank. Your other tactical squad sits on a home objective, if you have one, or whatever one you can. And then your Castellix, your Thalaxes, and your Vindicators provide anti-armor and anti-personnel support. Those Thalaxes can really do some armor damage, as well as the Demolisher Cannons from the Vindicators. I do not remember what I equipped the Castellix with, but I'm sure that they can manage. I think you can do the Dark Fires with them, so that might have been what I picked. Your Voltaraxes and your Carachnos provide rad support, because that is ridiculous how much rad they can do. For 100 points for those Voltaraxes, it's insane. They're actually an amazing unit. And then they do anti-light armor and Vanguard options, because you can give the Voltarax Vanguard while you give the Skitarii line. I think you can do the Carachnos as well. But I don't remember if it applies to tanks. I'd have to check on that one. And then your Skitarii cover down on whatever objectives are needed for line, because they have line 1 with the 1 rule that you can give them. So they provide rad and haywire support, and then they move quickly around the board because they're really fast. And then your Forge Lord, I love this, plays your Battlefield 6 engineer support. So he just runs around behind tanks and heals it. If you've never played Battlefield 6 or any Battlefield game, there's an engineer class usually that just heals the tanks, and they have like a little blowtorch, and they just like heal the tanks. That's pretty much how I see a Forge Lord and a Tech Marine running around. But that same Skitarii detachment can be used for any Legion, and it actually works for any Legion. It just depends on, how you want to paint them and how you want to kit them out, but they're actually pretty solid. So on to the next one. Definitely looking at the Saturnine for this one, especially the Saturnine Dreadnought. Now this one doesn't have any grav weapons, but it is a beautifully painted Saturnine from Little Legend Studios. I do like the green and purple on the black armor, or that's supposed to represent the black armor. So on to the Crusade detachment. We have the Iron Father and Gorgon Terminator armor, 2 Forge Lords, no Centurion this time, 2 tactical squads, Immortal squad, and then 3 Rhinos. And then you're going to do 2 Arquitters with the Bombards, a Predator, or 2 Predators, one's in the armored support and the other one's in the Spearhead Phalanx. Not that it matters, you just put them anywhere, because you have the slot. And those are both going to have the Graviton gun, the Graviton turret. And then a Land Raider carrier, Gorgon Terminators, Saturnine Dreadnought with dual gravity, and then Rapier batteries with gravity. So you're just doing gravity bombardment. It's pretty funny. So this is an Arquitter, but it doesn't have the gravity on it, but it's from the tactical game on your phone. I can't remember what it's called. It's actually a pretty solid card game. A shameless plug, I guess, because I like playing it every once in a while. So your Hard Daddy and your Gorgon Terminators go in the Land Raider carrier and go slay the Warlord hunting and Vanguard hunting again. Your Immortals go in a Rhino and go to the center objective again. And this just easily hits your objectives and your kind of goals. Your tactical squad goes behind the Immortals and takes the objective. Give that line. And your other tactical squad sit on the home objective. Those haven't changed. The one thing that has changed is your Arquitters, your Predators, and your Rapier batteries and your Saturnine all just provide gravity bombardment and support, because you can put them in the back. They have a pretty solid range. You might have to move them forward a little bit, but then your Forge Lord just sits between all of them, and because it has Battlesmith 2 and the Servo Arm, it can do its healing ability or repair ability twice, and you have 2 of them sitting there, so you have 4 technically. And if your Iron Father is nearby as well, he can also do Battlesmith, so you're just constantly healing the vehicles around you and just doing gravity. Now that can cause shock, pinning, and a whole variety, and then like obviously kill units and models, so it can actually do some pretty solid work. All right, on to the third one, and this is a pretty sweet conversion. I don't know who did it. I didn't, be honest, I didn't look up that much into the images I found, but this is Guilliman and a conversion of Guilliman, so it's actually pretty solid, and I think it's supposed to be a conversion for Ferris himself. This list is supposed to be more melee focused, and I know that Iron Hands are supposed to be more shooty focused, because then as they get shot, they're okay, but if they get shot at while they're moving forward, it's actually not too bad. And then they just go and they start beating the shit out of everything with hammers, or power fists. So that's kind of how it's based off of. So your Iron Father and Gorgon Terminator armor. In your command slots, you have a Centurion and a Legion Champion in Cataphractii armor, 2 tactical squads, an Inductee squad, and then 3 Rhinos. And then you're going to have 3 Land Raiders in this list, a Land Raider Achilles, and then 2 Land Raider carriers. In your armored support, you're going to have 2 Sikaran Venators, and they're going to provide your anti-armor. You're going to have a retinue of Morlocks. You're going to have a Veteran Breacher squad, and then your Assault, your Gorgon Terminators. So, Hard Daddy and Terminators go into a Land Raider carrier, go Vanguard hunting. Your Legion Champion and the Morlocks with the retinue go slay the Warlord hunting, because you don't need a retinue going for Vanguard, because they don't have Vanguard. So you don't need them fighting units, you need them fighting characters. And then they go into the other Land Raider carrier. The 5-man Veteran Breachers and the Centurion go into the Achilles, and they go Vanguard hunting because they have Vanguard, and then anti-armor. So with the Achilles, you're going to have the Meltas, and it's just going to mess some stuff up. Your tactical squads and your inductees go in a Rhino, and they cover down on objectives. The cool thing about the inductees is they can take a Phosphex bomb. It's pretty sweet. Highly recommend tossing that around. And then your Venators provide anti-armor support, as well as all of your Land Raiders and your Achilles. And then a third list, or a fourth list, I'm going to do an honorable mention here with Heresy Hammer. They just put this video out, I think earlier this week, from the day I am recording this. And they did an Iron Hands list, and it's very themed over Saturnine, because they can, and Disintegrators, because they can do Disintegrators on themselves, and it's -1 strength, so it actually works really well because of the Iron Hands trait. So this is a really cool and thematic list over a specific theme, and that's the Disintegrators. So I think it's really cool. I think it's really fun, and this idea can be applied further to every legion. So you just pick with a theme or like a specific weapon set, and even if it doesn't really make sense, or if it's, you know, if it's based off of the legion itself. So like, for example, Death Guard have the Alchem Flamers. I've actually made a whole Alchem list running like Predators with the Flame Storm Cannon, because it's funny, and it's just, you're flaming everything, either poisoning everything with Phosphex and the Alchem Flamers, or you lose because everything just dies really fast, and it's pretty funny. So you can always have fun with how you do your list. You can definitely hit a specific theme or specific weapon set, and it's a lot of fun. So good honorable mention here. I would highly recommend you check that video out. Also, they paint very well. They're amazing painters. Highly recommend it. And then the units to pick up, and I kind of just go through pretty much everything that we've in the list, the primary units in the list. Your Praetor, Centurion, your Terminators, your Iron Father, your Champion, your Tech Marines, your Forge Lords, however you want to run them, but you're going to want your Iron Fathers and Forge Lords most likely. For your standard Marines, 2 tactical squads and an inductee. I don't think you're going to need more than that, honestly. Some Gorgon Terminators, ×2, maybe just 1 set. I don't know if you're going to need 2, but 2's fine. Land Raider Carriers, 1 or 2, depending on how you're doing it. Or if you wanted to do that Achilles one, get an Achilles, because those are also really cool Land Raiders, but they can only run 6 models at a time, so be cautious with that. 3 or 4 Rhinos, pretty standard. 2 squads of Immortals I think are pretty good, because again, the expendable, you can really lean into the Immortal, the Feel No Pains and all of that. Veteran Breachers or regular Breachers. Your Breachers are probably going to be your Immortals, but you can also do like a vet Breacher squad with like Disintegrators. That'd be pretty cool. Rapier Batteries, Grav, it's just funny. Arcwitters, Sicarans, Predators, again, Grav for the Arcwitters and the Predators. Sicarans, you can just pick one or the other. And then the Saturnine Dread with Grav, I would recommend getting the Saturnine Dread here. Saturnine themselves are kind of meh, but you could also do a whole thematic Disintegrator list like Hersey Hammer did. Then you move over to the less important ones. So Ferrus Manus as the Primarch, Morlocks, and then your Skitarii allies. Again, that big box is pretty solid. The Karachnos tank, and then a Fellblade, Mortifactor, some Dreadnoughts for your Champion Dreadnought, and a Duradio, and then kind of whatever else you want to add to it, but that's pretty much how I'd start with everything on the left-hand side. And I think that's it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I went through it pretty quickly. I'm going to try to crank out the rest of these videos fast. So if you feel that I'm talking too quickly, please slow the video down. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. And let me know in the comments down below who you want to see next. And if you plan on setting up any of these lists, and if you run them, tell me how they did. I'm very interested, because I only play 2 of the legions. And I would like to see how the rest work. So yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and share with your friends if they're into heresy. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.